So, so I've noticed this about myself. I have like, you know, a zing to me, and but it's also calm. It's a calm zing, and yeah, of course, sometimes I feel absolutely insane around most other adults. Funny enough, I feel not only normal, but a sort of a trailblazer of sorts around the kids, but around most other adults, I feel absolutely insane, but that's only by contrast. So this sort of calm zing is kind of the balance of it, right? You can have a zing, you can have gusto, you can have some pow, you can have some explosive energy, but if you hold it in, right, it's kind of like someone's interpretation of the meek shall inherit the earth. The meek, the interpretation at least, saying that meek actually means restrained, right? You have the capacity for danger, you have the capacity for high-powered attack, infiltration, etc. But you keep the weapon sheathed until absolutely necessary, right? So the power's there, but you use restraints. So yeah, I kind of feel that way, especially with the in-school job. With the childcare stuff, you can be more pow, pow, pow. But with the in-school job, which, you know, is very symbolic of people in daily life, right? You know, work at the office, work at the whatever. You have the power, but to use it wisely, to not spend it all for just some little thing. Speaking of energy expenditure, it's very important to realize that we spend energy all day long, and most people waste a lot of that energy. Over consideration, over emotionalizing, right? Like, if people do things that are beyond your control, or the what ifs, right? Things that don't even exist, the mental, emotional energy of that alone, just focusing and ruminating and just having it go off all day long in your head, in your body, it's a waste of energy. So part of that zing, that restrained zing, the best of both worlds, having the energy but using it wisely, is keeping attention of where it's being spent. Spending your energy wisely. There was another part to this talk. I'm gonna pull out the paper now. Whoa. More access. Yes. So when we become more playful, more loose, and less expensive when it comes to nonsense energy expenditure, we just have more energy in general. And then we go to sleep, and then, boom, more energy, new energy. Bada bing, bada boom. Life goes on. But the capacity, it stays the same for a little while, and then you do things. You do things to increase the capacity. But, you know, one of the instant kind of, what's the word? One of the instant solutions for businesses is either sell more or spend less. Get more money or spend less money, right? So the easiest way to get more energy is to just spend less, to not increase your capacity just yet. Spend less. Spend less. Find out what you're spending your energy on, mental, emotional, especially. Obviously, if you have a back-breaking labor job, you gotta do what you gotta do. Gotta do what you gotta do. But for the other stuff, the stuff that you're in control of, quit spending your energy on nonsense stuff. The thing about self-care is the more you care about yourself, the more valuable you see yourself. And as you see yourself as a valuable individual, human being, spirit, if you will, you spend your energy more wisely because you care about yourself more, because you realize more and more how awesome you actually are, how amazing life actually is. And then you're like, I'm driving this amazing car called a human body. Where am I driving? How much gas am I spending? Let's get with it. Let's get with it. Because I care about this car. I want it to last as long as possible. This multi-dimensional car, right? It's not even just the car. It's a car that impacts people, places, and things on a multi-dimensional level, right? However you want to see that. I can explain that more. I have explained it more, but I'll go quick on it first. So you being a multi-dimensional vehicle, we have the 3 dimensions of space, 4th dimension of time, the other more internal dimensions, thought, emotion, feeling, intuition, visions, goals, dreams. And those things translate into physical action and they make changes on the world, right? So the impact alone is a very important dimension. The impact, boom, 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 idea, physical movement, external life, completely changed forever. We can make these world-shattering impacts. Boom, boom, boom. Let's get more light, more energy, more soul, more spirit, whatever word you want to use, more aliveness. I love that word because it's kind of a, non-denominational or, what's the word that means non-religious? You know what I'm talking about. It's kind of just that general word, aliveness. We all know what being alive is, at least we do to an extent. But what extent? Whew, let me tell you, the more alive you become, the more you're hip to the jive of, oh wow, I didn't know what I was missing. That's a whole another topic. You don't know what you're missing because you're not in that state. You don't know how alive you could be because you've never experienced it. Now, a life hack example would be, doing wild drugs or drinking and just feeling and noticing these different aspects of yourself that you didn't know before when you were sober. I'm not for drugs. I'm not against drugs. They can be very dangerous. They can be life messing. It's just like, it can make your life a mess for sure. But there are people that can use it in such a way where it changes your perspective on a fundamental level, which is what I'm trying to do here, to change your perspective on a fundamental level. And it hits you in such a deep way that you're like, whoa, what was that? Wait, that was life, but it was so different. Whoa, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do with this information? Yeah, you just experienced more light, more aliveness, more of yourself on a fundamental level. Whoa, 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 what do I do with this? What do I do with this? The best thing you can do is to not forget it, to write stuff down, and to realize, whoa, 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 this level I can get to, this level I can get to, and then this process goes over again, over and over again. So you can have a random epiphany. Whoa, whoa, that was amazing. What was that? Write it down, think about it, just ponder it, just steep in it. Whoa, 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 that was amazing. And then what's happened with me, at least, what can happen with everybody, is you get to a certain point where you reach a new, over the weeks, months, and years, you get higher and higher baseline existence, right? Higher and higher baseline just living existence. You're just like, all right, this is my neutral, like natural state. And if you play your cards right, if you do life right, it raises slower and slower and slower, higher and higher and higher, higher and higher, slowly, but higher and higher. You get to this point where you're like, you know what? This is kind of how I felt like when I had that epiphany 2 years ago, plus or minus, whatever. And you're like, I kind of just feel that way every day now. And getting better, right? So you can have an epiphany today, you can have a life-shattering experience, and then if you take it in stride, if you take the benefits and you say to yourself, you think to yourself, you know to yourself, you know, life can get better, life can get better, life can get better. Let me make life better, 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 better. Slowly, slowly, slowly. It gets better, it gets better. You gotta do it every day, but it gets better. You're like, you know, I feel like when I had that epiphany. And then you can have an epiphany today. You can have a life-shattering experience today. And do the do. Write it down. Think about it. Feel about it. Steep in it. New normal. New normal. Right? It can keep happening. New normal. More light. More energy. More aliveness. It can happen to you.